Good evening, everybody. System Chalk here with the 80th episode of our YouTube run through the House of Light expansion for Book of Hours, playing as the archaeologist. I am the librarian of Hush House, and this journal will record what arose from my crime and my curse. The archaeologist's dearest wish when they came to the house was to record a history where their crime could be forgiven or redefined, but you can complete the game by recording any history. You might wish to begin your studies with the Skolakosophy wisdom. I opened a tomb and found too late that it was a prison. The plague that I released is now my shadow, or perhaps I am its reflection. It is too late to set matters right, but it is never too late to protect the future from the past. In Hush House I can do no harm. Perhaps I can even make amends. So, I don't want to spend too much time talking about the stream or the broadcast itself, but I'll just give a small caution. I'm going to be recording this episode the day after the previous one, Monday's episode, but I'm going to have to record the other two at another point, and I don't have a good excuse for it. I was playing Civilization 7, and time got away from me. And you know what? I think that's good, because I really like Civilization, and especially at the start when everybody's talking about how they've ruined the series, it's nice to take those wins. But I do appreciate that it creates a little bit of a difficulty for the broadcast overall, just in terms of getting like some sort of continuity in terms of the streams. I tend to forget stuff in between recordings. So I know one of the main things that I wanted to do was to prep the salon, and then I was also going to try and level up drums and dances tomorrow. So I'll get those two basic ones out of the way. I also don't think it would be a bad idea for me to change up the guest list, because I think we were running into some, like, the ends of some of the dialogue, like the not the further stories, but the interactions during the salon. So I don't have a really good way of working that out. I don't quite know who I've sort of run out of dialogue options with and who I haven't. So what I might do is I might just kind of play it by ear, looking at my book. I know I don't have everybody in, but I had sort of this subset of people. So like Strathcoyne, Wakefield, and Schaller was my top tier list. Daymare was on it. And then D.I. Moore, Corso, and Denzel were sort of my tier 3. So what I might do is I might invite a bunch of people who are either not on that list or people who I or people who I don't remember giving an invitation to. So somebody like Hokabald, because I don't yet have the Orpiment Exultant, that's going to be a little bit harder. But for the rest, I think we've got enough to go with. So let's actually maybe work that out right now. So if I took, actually one thing I could do, so if I bring in D.I. Moore and then Coquille, I notice Eason and Ecdistis are not on the list. Let's maybe bring in Arthur, so both Moors. I suppose I can invite, maybe we'll bring in Fraser. And I'm trying to balance it out a little bit in terms of, so if I do Wakefield, or Zachary Wakefield would be I kind of like the idea of him being a companion with the Suppression Bureau, but I don't think that's the right call. Um, you know what? Okay, we'll bring in Agdistis. So what'll be fun about this one is there's a few figures who are maybe a little suspicious for the Suppression Bureau. So let me just work it out. So we've got Douglas and Arthur are both Lantern. Okay, that's actually going to be a little hard to deal with. Fraser's Scale. Peter Agdistis, I think, was Sky. No, Heart. And then Coquille presumably is Grail. Yeah. Okay. So probably the beef is the right call for Fraser Strathcoin. Now, if I have sugar and almonds, then an orange jumble is my easiest option. Yeah, I have that too. So I'm never crazy. Oh, actually, we've got a marinated roast beef ready to go as well. So that's also my grail if I need it, but... okay, so... I won't question it. So yeah, sugar and almonds are probably something I should be working on in the near future. Oh, I need the spicing too. And then I'm thinking probably the golden marrow, which means I'm going to have to... Well, I've got one here, but... you know what? Yeah, we'll... I think I'll go for that. So... so I need a starter, which has Heart or Grail, and for that I'm going to consult the spreadsheet that I've put up. So there's a lot. In fact, basically every first course seems to have some kind of heart, including if I just go for like the rose hips or blackberries. So if I wanted to try and deal with the grail instead, so scrambled egg, cold pheasant with grape salad. I do actually have a few pheasants, so the question is, do I have the grape? I thought I kept a few aside, but sure doesn't look like it. Some... oh, nope, there's some grapes here. Okay, so cold pheasant with grape salad. Which then just leaves me with a heart question. Now, there's any... again, just about any dish has heart in it, so that's not too challenging. I'm curious. I've got the pickled mushrooms, so... I don't know if this is something with the new update or if this is something about the way I'm working. I seem to have more luck if I use the arrow keys. It's usually if I zoom in or out that the responsiveness is off. But anyways, we'll take care of that. Okay, so that gives me some basics to work with. I'm still going to try and go to the Sweet Bones to make a little bit of money, and I think I am going to talk to Denzel in order to get some memories, because it's only going to be 1 minute. In order to level up drums and dances, we're going to need 4 memories. So one of the easiest things I can do here would be to take the Watchful Potted Plant. I think what I'm going to do as well is I'll drop some water, but I'm going to restore what I give up to get Denzel right away. And actually, the question now would be, what do I... So, one of the reasons why I'm trying to move quickly on this is Cardia's Delights will give me some memories that I can use to level up my elements of the soul. So, or level up my skills. So with the Grail and Knock... So surgeries and exsanguinations would be an option there. In fact, most things, the only thing that I don't think I have like a level 2 set for would be Birdsong and Horamachistry. Sorry, I have this set for my branches, but I don't have it set for my... for the individual skills. Let me just I have a little bit of a cheat sheet just in terms of which ones will give me elements of the soul to look at. And again, I apologize. It might be better for me just to try and put these spreadsheets up on the screen, but okay. So, I mean, one thing I could do is just toss the... Oh, actually, you know what I was going to do? I think I was going to see if I had any potential with the curses. So, I've looked through this a few times, but I always keep forgetting what curses I specifically have. So, we've got Fifth Eye. So that needs Heart, and that's a curse. We have Keeper Skin, which is corruption. We have Witchworms, which is winter. Infestation. We have Chaonic Theoplasma. So that's also heart, but that's a... okay. And actinic theoplasma. So that needs forge. This is probably the most diverse in terms of the various afflictions. Okay, so there's another Fifth Eye. Right, Bloodlines is Moth. Infestation. And then second Witchworms. Okay, the other thing that I might want to reflect on, so something like the Iron Book is a possibility. Journey to the Grove, maybe the Lion in the Glass. But in the mountains is upon the plain, that's not as clear to me. So, for infestations... So it's just winter, or no, sorry, it's winter and moth that I need for infestation. Okay, so resurgences and emergences is going to be a little complicated because I've already committed it, but I will have a think. But I don't see any winter out of these other ones. Okay. So that could be because we don't have it or there isn't one to handle infestations. However, I do have the Wormwood Dream and a relatively easy way to access that. So perhaps we would try and do something like resurgences and emergences at Mrs. Kill or at Ava DeWolf's desk. So moving on. I think in this case I'll just individually consult these until I see an ability I haven't seen yet. I know one of the inks has it. Okay, so that's curses. So for the curses, we are only looking for heart. So we've got Tridesma Hyra and we've got Sacra Solis Invicti, neither of which help me with heart. Nope, and Sacralimea. But same story here. So that's interesting to know. This one is not impossible. So what I would see here is if we have some kind of a storm, we would use that, and then I guess I would combine that with a core. So I mean, with the core and a tool, we would have 3 to work with. And then I guess depending on whether or not I was willing to put an ink, I might be able to get a bit more, but there's no real skill so far. Now, corruption. I feel like it should be easier to handle than it is. Right, it was herbs and infusions. And I think for that one, that might actually be a question of weather. And this one's a bit tricky because I do have the option of leveling up herbs and infusions right now, but I'm working on drums and dances. And I think that's still the right call. But, so if I did that, if we had rainfall, that would bring us up to 4, and then we get 5 with the core. But we're actually still 1 short. So... if I can find a book that lets me level up herbs and infusions, I should take it. Okay. So last thing we want is something to deal with the Theoplasma. I think that one, Inks of Containment, could at least handle it. It is in fact... oh, no. So Quenchings and Quellings and Glacier and Lightsmithing. Okay. So Quenchings and Quellings gives me heart. The other one I need Forge, which I guess would be Meniscate Reflections. Okay, so I guess in... why take the time to sort of work this stuff out, right? What this kind of tells me here is that there can be some value in leveling up Meniscate Reflections, Quenchings and Quellings, or Herbs and Infusions. In fact, maybe one thing I might want to do at the start here. So I've got my Foresight, so Now might not be a bad time for me to try and make something happen. So if it was the actinic theoplasma, so if we take the meniscate reflections, we take the metal, and we've got a forge sitting around here. It seems to me like we've already got it. So dispel the actinic theoplasma, the Westcott method. The process has been refined over the years and no longer requires tobacco smoke, if indeed it ever really did. Okay, so that's good news. I can knock that one off the list. So as a pure hypothetical, so if we had a core here, and then we used quenchings and quellings. So I don't think I have a heart to kick around right now. But if I took the mop and bucket, so that's really just looking for one heart. And we can get rid of the other theoplasma. So I'm feeling okay about that one. So I'm just going to put a little circle beside that. I might even generate it, but that's going to conflict with our current need for the drums and dances. So the reason why I'm doing this right now is that I may decide that reading the book isn't as big of a deal, and that maybe I want to get rid of these curses instead. So let's say that I wanted to try and get rid of the infestations that required the moth. So that one's a little bit like the metal. Yeah, so really we just need to toss any old 2 moth. Okay. So you know what? This may not help me for reading certain books, but I think the time has come for me to to properly put some of these to bed. So I'm gonna read. I think I'll get the instruments of the heart. So that'll take care of the heart. And as a really bold move, so I'm just trying to pick which of the 2 I want to do this for. The Iron Book is technically a little easier, so I'm going to go to the Pale Desk. Actually, that may not work. I guess it's any old thing that can handle an infestation. So I need to use an element of the soul. I think in this case I'll use the health. Oh, I can't because I don't have a tool for the winter. So yeah, we do use the whist. Okay, quell the witchworm contamination. The softest penumbra of the Madrigad's light, invoked carefully through the white flower of the watchman's tree, drives witchworms to twitching death. So with that in mind, we'll go to the Nocturnary. You know what, we'll wait for the weather on that, actually. So again, something of a big turn here. Don't think that directly does anything for me here. So normally hail would be quite helpful. Particularly with Denzel. But I guess technically the Wormwood Dream gets me the same thing. So what I'll do instead is I'll take the Edicts Martial and we'll use that. Oh, right. I need to do that at a desk. But one that takes Moon. Alright, recall a forgotten crime of Moon and Winter. Alright, so obviously that was a lot. Let's just get our bearings. We need 4 memories for the drums and dances. So let's say that the Shapt, the Fete, the Faust... Yeah, so we're going to say that these are my 4 candidates, and then the core here are going to be... okay, let's get drums and dances up. So this leaves me with 3 elements of the soul right now to do the salon and all the other things that I need to worry about. Now we'll be able to restore the Shapt. We'll be able to do a couple of other things with the elements of the soul. But I think this is a pretty clear determination for me that I'm going to set aside the need to read a book and do more with lessons, and instead I'm going to take the opportunity to clear out some of these curses. Now, this is kind of an arbitrary choice on my part. There's a small argument that I should actually be leveling up skills because I'm inviting new people to the salon, and so as a result I may need to use different parts of the tree of the Tree of Wisdoms to get the various skills. Now, that option's still available to me. I just host the salon a bit later. A sense of awareness persists, but the plant remains immobile, unsettling but harmless. It doesn't even have thorns. But yeah, the main thing that I'm kind of doing here is, even though I have lots and lots of books that I'm trying to sort of work through, I did sort of have a bit of a breakout in terms of just getting some very high-level skills. And so now that I'm willing to do that, having some more variety in terms of different books will mean that I have a little bit more freedom in terms of where I wind up taking those choices. So it's a slightly longer-term investment, but one that I ultimately think will be worth it. Okay, I've learned enough to puzzle out books in this language, though it might be slow going. You can also use and improve this like any other skill. The most secret script of the innermost rites of the deep sex of the deep desert. The birth tongue it is claimed of the mother of ants herself. Okay. So, there's no benefit to holding on to this one. We're definitely going to put this in our last slot because this was actually holding up quite a bit of development in Horamachistry. The Jeweler's Tale. There is a story known to jewelers of a guildmaster who made a wager with a keeper of butterflies. The master jeweler claimed his jeweled egg would hatch something greater than any of the butterfly keeper's chrysalids. Of course, after a month, the butterfly keeper's gardens were bright with wings, and the egg had hatched nothing at all. The jeweler, unable to pay his debts, fled into the desert with his egg. Horamachistry teaches us, know your limits. So that's just a free element of the soul to work with today at minimum. The other possibility that I have now, if I want, I can actually start committing things to the Horamachistry branch. Now again, there's always that question, what do I want at the lowest level? So I think Sacrosolus Invicti was a potential candidate. And I mean, in this case, it was like, well, it didn't seem to help us out with the curses, although maybe we don't want to wind up in a situation like Resurgences and Emergences. Inks of Power is a potential candidate as well, although I might have actually had that scheduled for somewhere else. I'm trying to remember. I'm actually slightly partial to the idea of putting this in Inks of Power. I mean, it gets me another medal, so... The weapon, the greatest and most secret truths can only be recorded by the librarians of the Watchman's Tree. Even then, only beneath the shelter of the tree's branches, and only in the sanctioned inks called Incastum. There are still certain languages in which these truths might be spoken aloud, but the hours no longer permit that power in the mouths of mortals, as the wisdom of Horamachistry teaches us. So that was kind of an arbitrary call there, but I think it's a justified one, because what this now does, just going to make a quick note here. Oops. So one of the things that this does for me in terms of the overall tree, because I've unlocked Horamachistry now, the real hope is that I get this to level 5. Oh dear. So there's a few others now, so something like Anburian Lapidary, Sacrosolus Invicti, Inks of Containment, although Inks of Containment has the potential to remove one of the Theoplasm afflictions. So, but yeah, the nice side effect of this is that I now have some more freedom in terms of where I level these things up. Although I really do think I was going to do 2 wounds, 1 heart at some point. Actually, yeah, so an Echo of Silence is a really good example of this, because I could level up Sacralamea off of that. But then again, so I could also do the same with Damascene Traditions. But Annals of St. Brendan... Actually, Annals of St. Brendan's is something I should be willing to do right away. Because I have a tryst to work with. Okay. So I'm getting a little careless. Let's wait for the existing desks to be used. As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. And we'll talk with Denzel. So the hope here is that Denzel's going to be helping me out with some memories. He might even reply. And there's our orange jumble. Now, the thing about the Salon is it does not need to be... the very day that the... that it doesn't have to be at the very start of spring. Any time will do. So the reason why I'm kind of excited about Inks of Containment is that if 3 is an option for Horamachistry, I can level that up without any leftovers, really. So I think what we'll be doing for the next episode, this is definitely different from what I was planning, but I will take some time to clear out the various curses. I definitely want to still level up Drums and Dances, but because it takes so little to level up Inks of Containment, we should get 1 from the book, and then I can just use the old wound as a supplement. We should be able to get so we'll knock down one of these books. We'll be able to get at least one of the Horamachistry skills up to 3 as an option if I decide to do the Salon. I think I'm willing to still do some cooking as well, but I'm going to set that aside for a minute just so that I can decide, okay, you know, where do I want to go with the day? Do I have enough elements of the soul to be able to level up the skills that I'm interested in? If I don't, then maybe I give up some of the health and the core to be able to accomplish that. But I think we'll save that for the next episode. I realize this one was a little more meandering in terms of my my reasoning, but I think we've got a pretty clear idea in terms of what to do. So I will probably take an inadvised late night and get at least 1 more episode recorded. But that will happen tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.